at the end of all of what we read in our scripture, it finishes with this statement: the favor of our Master Yeshua Messiah be with the set-apart ones. So it says be with, but it has the idea of accompanying. In other words, if you're set apart, it comes with you. Not like it's not like a prayer here at the end where he's saying, I pray that, the favor be with you set apart. He's saying favor is with you, you set apart ones, if you're set apart. So why do you want to be set apart? Because it brings the favor of our Master Yeshua. That's a pretty good motivator. I think that should be something that can kind of get you going a little bit, because it brings his favor. That which is set apart is used as a measuring stick. So when you're looking at shekels, you look at the set apart shekel to measure what a proper shekel is. So how do we measure ourselves? There's only one way to measure ourselves, that's Yeshua. Things that are set apart are the measuring stick for other things that are of like kind to be set apart like. So here we're talking about a shekel needs to be exactly like the shekel in the set apart place, the set apart shekel. Right? It says the shekel of the set apart place. Because that's the standard that we measure against. So when I saw that, I was thinking, that seems an odd verse, but for some reason, Yahweh was kind of pushing me to use that verse, and I realized it's because he's trying to say the set apart things are measuring sticks for those that want to be set apart. He's talking about stuff here that you're doing in ignorance. You had no idea they were wrong, but you're still doing them. He says, instead, listen now, instead, as the one who called you is set apart, so you also should become set apart in all behavior. What you do matters. I know you don't hear that on Sunday. What you do matters. As a matter of fact, as far as you're concerned, it's everything. It will make all the difference. What Yeshua did will not help you at all if you don't do. I know it's hard to hear sometimes, especially for brand new people. Oh no, Messiah, no, he did what he did. And it will value you every bit that it's supposed to if you do something. Specific set apart things. It's a craving or desire. And that could be food, that could be money, that could be lots of things. That could be pleasing other people. Your desire to please people is why you will break more commands than almost any other thing. Almost all the Torah-breaking questions I get, and when I say Torah-breaking, I mean people trying to get permission to break, is because they want to please somebody or they're afraid they're not going to please somebody. Well, my mother will be mad and my brother will be mad, whoever, because you don't go to the wedding or the funeral or whatever, you don't go to the graduation. You don't come to Christmas dinner, you don't come to something. They're all going to get mad at you and you want to please them. That's a former lust. This need or desire or craving to please them, not disappoint them. Or maybe it's really a problem just with you where I just want everybody to love me and it would kill me for people to look at me that way. He's telling you when you did the things you used to do, they were futile. What does futile mean? It means you're putting in all this effort and you're never going to get what you were trying to get. You're wasting time. You're never going to get the result doing what you're doing that you wanted to get. What you're doing will never bring the result that you wanted to get. It's futile. Okay? It's like if I want to try to, I don't know, I want to cut my steak with a strand of cooked spaghetti. I could try to cut it all day long. It's not going anywhere. It's just not going to work. Some of you have done lots of things in your life. You had the wrong tool or the wrong thing, and it was futile. It didn't matter how long you were going to work at it. You didn't have the right stuff, and so it was never going to work. In obeying the truth, so you cleanse your lives in obeying the truth. So I don't know how Christian pastors teach this whole idea of obeying the truth. How do you teach obeying the truth if you study the Bible from cover to cover and not know it's talking about the Torah? I mean, it can't be talking about anything else scripturally. That's not some odd interpretation on my part. There's no way to get to any other scriptural conclusion unless it's by purposeful deception, which was given to the churches. I'm not blaming people in there now saying they're the ones doing the purposeful deception. But Hasatan has put this purposeful deception in there because you can't read this in seminary. And some people actually can't, because when they get there, they end up leaving seminary because they realize it doesn't say what they thought it said, or what they're teaching is not what it says. He says, now, this is interesting, and this is the word announced to you as good news to you. So now we know it's talking about information, and that information is about the Torah, and it's also about Yeshua. So the good news is this whole thing that was going on in chapter 1. It's not just, hey, the Messiah came and he died and was resurrected. All Christians think that's the good news. Now that is good news, and it's part of it. But the good news is what it means to you. What does it do for you? That's the good news. Well, they'll make up their own Christian version of what it does for you. What it does for you, it says, you in dispersion, it's time to come home. You out there, you can come and get reconnected, recovenanted. We can make a new covenant with you. He's making a connection that setting yourself apart means doing what he says and not doing what he says not to do, because if you do what he says not to do, you defile your set-apart status. So here he's talking specifically about kashrut and about eating things you shouldn't eat. He says, if you do that, you will defile yourself. But I'm just giving you a pattern here. This is going to be a pattern. If you do what he says not to do, that defiles your status as set apart. Set apart is a status. It's not a permanent one. Okay, there are no permanent statuses. Christianity lied to you. Okay, once saved, always saved, blah, blah, blah. Those things are not permanent statuses. So what we do in our behavior is what sets us apart. Now, of course, we do in our behavior based on having set apart or different thoughts and understandings. I think it's pretty much distinguishable that when you talk to your friends, it's easy to distinguish that you think and see things and understand things differently in a very easily discernible way. They may not understand why you do. It's pretty obvious you do different things and you understand things differently. Now, of course, that doesn't happen if you don't ever speak up. And what I mean by speak up, not to get in their face when they're doing, but when they try to get you to do and you say, I don't do that. That's how you speak up. I don't do that because it's against Scripture. I don't do that because it's part of my covenant. I can't do that. And do not profane my set-apart name. Okay, don't profane my reputation. And I shall be set apart among the children of Israel. I am Yahweh, set you apart. So what does it mean to do not profane my name? When you do these things that I told you not to do, you're profaning me because people will now think that I approve of all of that because you claim to be mine. And so what are you doing? Go back to the no other name teaching, right? What we do affects how he is seen by other people. That's what it means to profane his name. That's breaking the third commandment. It's not how you say his name. It's claiming to be his and then acting the fool, acting like the world. Because then the world doesn't have that set apart understanding. Oh, you say you're his while you're eating a pork chop and working on Saturday, and what does that mean that you're his?